People, Wake and Rake podcast time. Well, Middlebrooks, my God, my eyes are blinding from that shirt, man. You look like I told you on Twitter, you look like a rotten banana.
Rotten bananas are brown. And for the record,
very ripe banana.
So the more ripe, the more ripe a banana gets, right? The more brown it gets, the sweeter it gets. Did you know that? It's science. Look it up.
I don't like where this is going.
It has a higher glycemic index.
So you're a fan of the yellow jerseys? For those listening on the podcast, we're talking about the Boston Red Sox yellow jerseys.
They're City Connect jerseys that I love what they represent.
Okay.
Because it represents, so the state flag is these colors, like the logo in the middle, and then the Boston Marathon, which is a big part of Boston history, big part of Marathon Monday and on the Boston bombings when I was there in 2013. So I love what it represents, perseverance and a city that just grinders, really.
Okay, so
you have to like peel back the layers to enjoy it because they're so bright and ugly and they don't look good. But if you realize like what they represent, then you fucking love them.
Okay, so you're cool. Matt Barnes is on the hill. He's 1 out away from the World Series. He just strikes out, I don't know, Buster Posey to win. Red Sox win the 2021 World Series, and they're celebrating in yellow jerseys. You're cool with the Red Sox celebrating in yellow threads?
No, I want them to be in their jerseys. I thought it was cool. When they were on a winning streak that they went to the league and was like, hey, can we wear these in the postseason? And the league was like, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But no, I'd rather them win them in their home whites in front of their home crowd in Fenway, like we did.
Fair enough. We got a special guest on today's episode, Brooksy. I got a surprise for you. How about Nicky Lopez of the Kansas City Royals going to be joining us?
He's the stud that no one's talking about. This kid has got a freaking glove on him.
I got a great stat for you. I'm going to mention this to Nicky too when he jumps on. There are 3 players in Major League Baseball with a batting average above 300 and 20 or more stolen bases. Starling Marte, Trey Turner, and Nicky Lopez.
Wow, I was going to say Trey Turner. I would not have come up with Starling Marte.
Yeah. I mean, those are 2. They're not going to win MVP, but Starling Marte and Trey Turner, like, they've been kind of batted around about being one of the more valuable players in the league. And then there's Nicky Lopez.
If Marte hit more homers, if he was like had more power, he'd be MVP talk.
Yeah, for sure. We'll talk about the wild card race that's going on in the American League, and then we'll have a conversation with Nicky Lopez. But there's a lot going down in baseball right now. So let's start it up in the American League wild card race. Boston, what's happening? They lost 2 out of 3 to Baltimore. These are winnable games. Everyone's looking at Baltimore going into this week. And you're looking at their schedule. They had Baltimore, and then they had Washington, and they lost 2 or 3 to start their week. That can't happen.
No, they've had the scheduling gods in their favor.
Yeah.
This is like the best. I mean, they could ask for maybe Baltimore and the Pirates, but that's just not real. They got Washington instead, who's a 94 loss team. So what happened in Baltimore simply can't happen. Boston's not playing like a playoff team right now, period. They lost with Chris Sale on the mound. Mm-hmm. They let 3 young lefties with 7.5 to 8 ERAs beat them. Not 3, 2. Game 1 and game 3 they lost. They won with Evaldi on the mound, but they're just not doing the little things, man. They're pressing. They're pressing.
Would you rather play a team that is playing up to your like someone? Okay, hypothetically, like the Giants playing the Padres, or not even the Padres, because the Padres are kind of completely falling off the table. Yeah. But would you rather play a competitive team or a team that's completely out of it, like a team like the Orioles, who are just trying to ruin everybody's lives basically right now? Would you rather play a team that is, if they win, okay, not a big deal? Or would you rather play the Orioles, where if you lose to the Orioles, what the fuck? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I got the perfect answer for this. The Orioles, teams that have been out of it all year, you don't want to play them.
Right?
Because they want to ruin it. You want to play a team like the A's or San Diego, who recently got out of the race and were like, fuck it.
Right?
Like, oh, it's over now. Like, now let's just get to the offseason. I'm going to go play golf, get in shape, get ready for next year. These teams like the Orioles and the Nationals, they've been dealing with this for months. It's normal. This is another day.
This is their World Series, though. Like, this is their only chance to have an impact on the standings this season.
Well, the thing, too, with teams like this that are struggling with this many losses, most of the time they're very young, and it's full of 4A players, right? This is an audition for these kids for next year.
That's true.
Because front office executives want to see you against real big league competition, not in spring training when you're facing number 97, in the 8th inning when you come in to back up. That's just not, it's not real competition. I should say it's not real competition, but in spring training, you get that.
Right.
This is real big league competition. So this is an audition for a lot of kids. So you're going to get their best, These lefties for Baltimore, they're trying to get a 4th, 5th spot in that rotation next year. And they showed like, hey, Boston, all in all, Boston's number 2, 3, 4 offense in the league all year. So of course they brought it.
If you're a Red Sox fan too, I think Red Sox fans understandably have gotten a little bit greedy as the season gone on because their over under win totals, we talked about it a lot on this podcast, was like 82.5, I think it was.
At one point it was like in the 70s. It was like 78.
Right. So people at this point, at least at first when Boston was winning games, it's like, oh my gosh, what a great surprise this is. We don't care what happens this season. This is a success story. Now, of course, naturally fans are getting greedy and we're like, okay, if we don't make the playoffs, like end of the world's happening right now.
If you told me as a Boston fan, because I'm supposed to be unbiased, I work in baseball, but Boston's, they're special to me. I like Boston. If you told me early in the season, hey, you just sign here and the last series of the year, you'll have a chance to be a wild card team, I would have signed it day one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right. Everybody would have. But, that's not Boston, though.
Right.
And they don't care if you're expected to lose 100 games. They're still going to boo you because they still want you to be good and they expect success and you to be a good team and play hard. So that's the beauty of Boston. It's a good thing and a bad thing.
So New York is 2 games up. They just took care of business in Toronto. That really hurt Toronto. Toronto, Boston, Seattle for that second wild card spot. So Boston coming into Washington, they got 3 games against Washington. Another team they should beat. They got Eddie Rodriguez on the hill going against Josh Rogers on Friday. And then come Saturday, it's going to be TBD, who I heard is just nails and must-win games for the Red Sox against Josiah Gray for the Nationals. So the Yankees going into this weekend definitely have the advantage considering they're 2 games up. But I want to talk about Seattle before we get to
wait. Who has the advantage? Oh yeah, because they're 2 games up.
They're 2 games up.
Just one quick thing about the Yankees. We don't have to talk about them much. If we can get this out of the way, then we can get to the fun conversation.
Yeah, I don't like talking about the Yankees anyway.
That's the Mariners. The Yankees, yeah, they're 2 games up, so they have that advantage with 3 to play, obviously. But if I'm the Rays, I'm sitting down with my vets, my everyday guys, and saying, all right, boys, do you want rest?
Yes.
Or because they have the best record locked up. So they literally have nothing that they need to prove anymore. They're going to get that seeding already. So there's some bad blood between New York and Tampa. There has been for a couple of years, right? Or was it last year with Brosseau? How do you say his name?
I believe it was last year when Kevin Cash
that's when it got bad.
said, "We'll throw it your guys." I think it
stemmed from the year before. But anyways, so there's bad blood between the 2.
Yeah.
Do you want to ruin their season?
What would your answer be if you played for Tampa?
Rest.
Okay.
You just spent 180 days.
Yeah.
Like 162 games. It's like, take your rest.
If you roll an ankle trying to take care of the Yankees and you're out for 2 weeks in the postseason, man, you'll never live that down.
Yeah, that's true.
Devin Williams. Can we talk about Devin Williams?
That's tough, dude.
No
one feels worse than him, but like,
wouldn't you lie?
I still have a hard time believing that's what happened.
I was gonna say, wouldn't you rather lie instead of saying like I punched a wall while celebrating? Wouldn't you rather say like I was throwing a bullpen session and a comebacker hit me in the hand and I broke my hand?
Regardless of what happened, I can at least respect that he came and sat down in front of the media and was like, I screwed up. This is what happened. So even if it isn't true, they can't say like he didn't hide behind closed doors, like hide from the media and have someone else say that's what happened. He came out and faced it and said this is what happened. So they really can't question it at this point. It is what it is. It kills them though, because now you're going to be expecting Josh Hader to get 5-6 out saves. You're going to have to let those starters maybe not take them out in the 6th, let them go to the 7th. They're blessed with 3 good starters, so they can do that probably. But somebody's going to have to fill that role. And when that somebody gives up a 2-run homer, because Atlanta lives and dies by their offense, we know that they're missing their ace and Soroka tore his Achilles. But the offense has been rolling, right?
Max
Riley, Freeman, Albies, Duvall, these guys, Swanson, these guys have been rolling.
Yeah.
They're probably not going to be able to hang with the starters for the Brewers, but if there's a void in that bullpen, bullpen.
I kind of like that boy pin.
The boy pin. The men pin.
The men pin.
But if there's a void in that bullpen, they're going to find it. So that could be an issue.
Let's talk about Seattle. They seem like the team of destiny, man. I called those fans out, and I don't mean anything by this, man. I don't mean, because all the Mariners fans that I've interacted with are freaking awesome. Mariners fans are actually, they really love their team. They're very knowledgeable. I love T-Mobile Ballpark, but the first 2 games against Oakland, it was a night game. It was really cold in Seattle. They're having COVID complications too. The protocol and the guidelines up in Seattle are increasing due to COVID. That said, they had about 10, 12,000 people there, if that, the first 2 games against Oakland. And you haven't been to the postseason in 2 decades. And I was like, come on, Seattle. Like, we need to get you going. So now they sweep Oakland. They've beaten Oakland like a million times in a row now. I think it's 13 straight wins against Oakland. And now they're tied for this wild card spot. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games. Dude, Seattle's right there. They could end this postseason. Okay, last time, keep this in context. The last time Seattle was in the postseason, bro, 2000, I was 6 years old.
20 years ago.
I have never, like, I didn't watch baseball when I was 6 years old. I was too busy watching Teletubbies. You know what I mean? Like, I've never seen the Seattle Mariners in a postseason environment or in a postseason game. I'm pumped for that personally.
Bro, when they were in the playoffs, it was like Griffey, Jay Bruner, like
Ichiro,
Edgar Martinez. I'm thinking more the 90s, but
right. Randy
Brett
Johnson.
Boone.
Randy
Brett
Johnson.
Boone,
Yeah.
Dude, that's so I can't talk about this stat because you're the one that showed it to me, but I want you to talk about the clutch stat.
We can talk about it. You can take credit for mine. That's okay.
I'm
honestly, I probably saw it on Twitter and I rolled with it. So I don't know.
I have something else. I have something else, and then you can talk about the clutch.
Okay, fair enough. So
Seattle, if they get in, so as of today, they have a negative 48 run differential.
Right. That's fun differential, like they like to say.
Yeah. If they get in, they'll just be the 10th team all time to get in with a negative run differential. And four of the 9 teams that have gotten in were during a shortened season.
Interesting. I'm stealing that from you now.
That's good stuff, right?
That's good stuff. I'm going to be on a show later today. I'm going to steal that, and I'm not going to give you credit.
That's good because it's just, and that stat plays into the clutch stat, which I'll explain what it is, and then you can talk about it. But the clutch stat is basically it's on Fangraphs, and it's a number that measures your team's success in high leverage situations, whether offensively or defensively, 7th, 8th inning, big situation, bases loaded, runners in scoring position, whatever it may be. I don't know the exact equation, but it's basically that. Your team's success in those big situations, both offensively and defensively. Most teams, 99% of teams every season finish between 3 and -3. The Phillies, who have been very good this year, are, like 3.5. It didn't help them get in the playoffs, but maybe it kept them relevant. And I think a lot of the clutch number has to do with Realmuto and Harper. But the Mariners are in first place with what, Danny?
9.32 clutch rating. The next team after that,
three times
any other team in baseball. Like,
and what's nuts about that is the fact that they're last in batting average in baseball. They're 23rd in runs per game. They're 18th in pitching. So like I was digging, like, why are they good, right? How are they good? Well, they leave less than 3 runners in scoring position every game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that because they don't get a lot of hits? That could play into it as well. But it's that combined with they just hit when they need to, and they just get guys out when they need to. They just win.
Well, they have their
grindy, right?
They have their starters lined up for this weekend. So Friday night tonight,
Flexen's game 2, right?
We got Marco Gonzalez game 1 against the Angels tonight. Game 2, they're going to have Chris Flexen. What a really good story.
Flexen has made me so much money, by the the he has made the most money on the money line. He's the most profitable pitcher in baseball.
Interesting.
Because a lot of times for half the season he was an underdog and he would win. So he's made a lot of people money if they bet on him.
Well, it's going to be Jonathan Diaz of the Angels on Saturday against Chris Flexen. Chris Flexen, top 5 in the American League in ERA. Good story, man. This guy went overseas, worked on his stuff. All of a sudden,
Korea. It was Korea.
It was either KBO.
I thought it was Korea, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, you're right. I believe you're right. But he's over with the Mets, really, really struggled. Went over I think you said KBO. Now he's over with Seattle, and he's been one of the best starters in the American League, which is pretty cool. And then Sunday, they're going to have Tyler Anderson, who they acquired from the Pirates at the trade deadline, against a TBD for the Angels, because the Angels announced that they're not pitching Shohei on Sunday.
Exactly. And isn't it crazy that like we're seeing guys who got traded for be put in these positions? So like, this is why we traded for you, bud.
Yeah.
Go get us in the playoffs.
Okay, but I will say this about Seattle. So I was super critical of what they did at the trade deadline because they traded away Kendall Graveman. Now,
I was too.
Now they got Abraham Toro, who they said was the reason for the trade, which I don't know if I believe that, because if you want Abraham Toro, trade one of your minor leaguers. Don't give up Kendall Graveman, who's been your closer and has been fantastic all season long. So they could have had Kendall Graveman and Abraham Toro. Instead, they tried to make the case like, oh, we needed, Kendall Graveman's going to be free agent. And
their front office isn't on my top list of friends.
Well,
they're not in my top list of like awesome people.
Yeah. Considering what happened this offseason, I think that's
where it stemmed from.
Yeah. Well, either way, Seattle's way ahead of schedule. They're going to have Jared Kelenic. Julio Rodriguez isn't even up yet.
I want to throw this in. I think one good thing, speaking of their front office, and I didn't really appreciate how they handled that situation before the season with service time manipulation and all that talk. I don't know if that had anything to do with this, but bringing Kelenic up and letting him struggle, letting him grind through this year will be the best thing they ever did.
And he's finding his way.
The worst thing they could have done is let him struggle for a month and a half, 2 months, and be like, beat it, go back to the bushes, figure it out. No. He's on the perfect team, a young team. There's a few vets mixed in. This is the team where you can let him stay and marinate and soak it up and learn. You're not going to get these experience points and service points in AAA. You're going to learn by failing at the big league level. And I'm so glad they're letting him do that, because not many people aren't able to let prospects do that because of the pressure to win. They didn't have the pressure to win in Seattle, yet they're doing it anyways. But the lack of pressure to win has given them the ability to let him develop in the big leagues.
It's a luxury of playing on the West Coast. It's not a
luxury. That's the word I was looking for, and I couldn't find it.
I got you, brother.
Appreciate that.
Logan Gilbert is the man I was talking about. They have some young pitchers. I mean, UC Kikuchi, he struggled in the second half, but he made his first All-Star game earlier this season. Yeah. They have some guys in that rotation, and then they have one of the best farm systems in baseball. So this is just the beginning of good things.
Gilbert impressed me a lot against Frankie Montas like 2-3 days ago.
Yeah.
When I was like, man, this is the start for him where it's like, see what you're made out of. Like, I know you guys have beat the A's 11 times in a row, but this is their stud on the mound. He's going to get probably some Cy Young votes. Go beat him. And he did. The whole team did, but he pitched his ass off.
Last but certainly not least, Blue Jays are taking on Baltimore. Again, we talked about how the Red Sox struggled against Baltimore. Baltimore is going to be playing, what do you call it? We're trying to end the season, but huh?
I don't know what you're saying.
I'm trying to blank on the word. Baltimore is going to be trying to end Blue Jays season, basically.
But they're trying to play spoiler.
Spoiler. That's the word. Thank you.
We're 1-for-1 now.
See, I had your back, and now you have mine. Steven Matz is going for Toronto game 1 against some homie named Thomas Eshelman, who they probably picked up from the 7-Eleven.
I know Ash. I played with him in Philly.
Oh, my regard.
Righty, yeah.
But he's going to go game 1. So the Blue Jays have an opportunity to play a bad team at home at Rogers Center. We'll see what happens. But
I think the Blue Jays win at least 2 or 3.
By the way, the people that are saying Vladdy G should win MVP because his team made the playoffs, his team is not in yet. So
yeah, they're in the mix. I get that. Have you changed your mind on NL MVP?
Well, considering Tatis hit a ball out of Dodger Stadium last night,
you don't win MVP because of 1 home run. I don't care if it goes 900 feet.
You're right, but the eye test is something. And you don't lose an MVP because you go 0-for-11 with 5 strikeouts in a series. You're right. I will say this. I still want to see how the season plays out. I think these 3 games could literally decide the NL MVP. I think Bryce Harper not making the playoffs was the best thing that could have happened for Tatis.
Yeah, but the whole reason they're even in the mix was because of Harper. And his power output has been that much better than everybody.
Consider this. If Vladdy misses the playoffs, which there's a possibility of that happening, None of the MVP candidates, American League, National League, will be on a playoff team.
Right.
Tatis, Harper, and Soto in the National League. None of them will be playoff teams. Over in the American League, Vladdy G, Shohei Ohtani.
And Simeon. Yeah.
Yeah, Simeon too. I like that call out. None of them are on playoff teams. If the Blue Jays don't sneak in, I think that's
fair.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I literally 3 guys. If it went to either Soto, Harper, or Tatis, I wouldn't say that's the wrong answer. Like either one, all of them. Flip a coin, or you can't flip a coin. There's 3. Throw a dart at a wall with pictures of them. If whoever it hits wins, I'm fine with it. They're all the most valuable.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Let's talk. Is Nicky Lopez deserving of the Gold Glove award? We're going to ask him next on the Wake and Rake podcast. Nicky Lopez joining the show. I promised you all that we would have a special guest here on the Wake and Rake podcast. And as always, we deliver, just like Nicky Lopez delivers. I got a stat for you, Nicky, brother. There's only 3 players in Major League Baseball this season, 300 batting average or higher, and 20 stolen bases. Starling Marte, Trey Turner. You can make the case those are 2 MVP candidates, and you're the 3rd guy on that list, man. That's pretty good company to be in, right?
Yeah, that's not bad. First off, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. But yeah, that's not a bad list. And if you would have told me before the season that would be the case, I would have definitely signed up for that. But no, those are 2 great guys to play against, and I'm just happy to be named in that category.
I'm glad you brought up before the season, because I love your story, man. You pushed down to the minor leagues before you were expecting. Am I correct in saying that you were expecting a roster spot on the big league club, right?
I was, yeah. I knew I had to pick it up a little bit, but I did expect to be on that team. Yes.
And you got pushed down to the minors, and all of a sudden injuries happen up on the big league club, and you get bumped back up. Did you think you'd get another opportunity at the big leagues at that time?
No. So I was actually, how it worked was I got sent down the final cuts. And you usually take your 3 days of, spring training. You can take 3 days. Well, I went in the next day and hit. I went to the cages each day for about 3 days. I was just hit for an hour with Alex Zumwalt and JJ Piccolo. And we would just hit. I would do no fielding. I would do no group work. We were just in the cages. And I think it was the day that they left. So they broke spring training when they landed. They called me early in the morning the next day, and opening day was the next day. Like they're like, you have to get down here. And I was like, how do you want me to do this? So they were toying with like, hey, you might need to drive. But they were luckily enough, they got me on a flight, and it was just a whirlwind, because I was obviously, due to unfortunate circumstances, you never want to get called up due to an injury. But I was just like, all right, even if I'm not ready, I'm ready. Let's do this, and kind of let's run with it.
What were you telling fiance, right? You guys just got engaged about earlier this year. What were you telling soon to be wifey when you got demoted and then promoted? What were the emotions going?
Yeah, so she was my first call. Told her that I got sent down, and she was like, wow. Because obviously, she's my biggest support staff, or part of my support staff. So she was like, wow. And then
she's like, I don't know if this marriage is going to work out.
Yeah, no, nothing like that. But she was, she was very supportive. I was obviously in a bad mood, but then I had to quickly turn into, this is going to be a blessing in disguise, kind of get to work, change the way I went about things, and kind of just, hey, I'm going to figure this out, because this is not the way it's supposed to be. And then we were packing up the car, because we were ready to go to Arkansas and then to Omaha. We were going to go to the alternate site, and we were packing the car, and then they called us and were like, hey, you need to get to Kansas City. So we had to pack even faster, ship both of our cars, and fly to Kansas City. So it was a whirlwind for both of us.
But so when you guys get bumped up to the big leagues, you guys ship everything just basically overnight? Is that how it works?
Well, usually, so they do a good job, obviously, from Omaha, northwest to Omaha is about 6 hours, but northwest to Kansas City is 3, and Omaha to Kansas City is 3. So it's like right in the middle. So right when you get that call, you get in your car and you just drive. So But being in Arizona, when I got the call that, hey, you got to get to Kansas City, that was a tough one because they were like, hey, you might need to drive, but opening day was tomorrow. So it was one of those things where it's pack the car, ship it, and we'll be there. And whenever the car gets there, it gets there.
Well, how'd you do?
I did well. I did
There you
really, I did really well the first week. Ran into a little cold streak about a couple weeks in, and then ever since then it kind of just took off.
I want to talk about Omaha a little bit. You got deep roots in Omaha. You went to Creighton. First of all, I want to know why you went to Creighton. Were you recruited by other organizations, other college programs? Or was Creighton your number one choice?
I was recruited by other programs. Actually, my first call I've ever received was from Notre Dame. So I was like, oh, sweet, Notre Dame's calling me. And then it was University of Illinois. It was Central Michigan. It was Wake Forest, Miami of Ohio. So I had some, pretty big schools, not like obviously those Southern schools. I never really went to any showcases or anything like that. The only thing I did was, some tournaments. But then when I went to Creighton, we had a family friend who went there, Mike Gerber, and his best friend was David Gerber, or my best friend is David Gerber. So we were like, hey, let's go to Creighton if we both get recruited there, and we did, and I fell in love with it with all the, it's a smaller school, big in sports, and then obviously the facilities are second to none there.
Was it weird playing in TD Ameritrade with, I mean, no offense by this, but you're not going to have 30,000 fans show up to a Creighton game on a Tuesday midweek game. Is it weird playing in like a completely empty TD Ameritrade park on like a Tuesday night?
Yeah, it is. And when you were there, there's nothing really you can compare it to, because it was, now I can compare it to like a spring training or like inter squad game when you guys,
Fall league.
Yeah, fall league. But now when I was there, I was just so like, giddy because of how big the stadium was. This is where everyone's striving to get to, and that was our home stadium, and it was obviously one of the best playing surfaces in the country. But yeah, those midweek games where you have about like 300 people, a lot of stadium seats, we packed it out. It was a sea of red, but we packed it out against like Nebraska and our military day. But yeah, I wouldn't change a thing. I would go back there in a heartbeat.
And that was my time to shine, was Tuesday midweek games, because I wasn't good enough to be our weekend starter. So that was my time, baby. All right, let me ask you this. You have a teammate named Salvador Perez who is just having a historical season, most home runs by a catcher all time in a single season. What's he doing? Like, is this man's confidence just through the roof? What is the secret sauce for Salvi right now?
Yeah, confidence is one thing. The way he just goes about his business, how hard he works day in and day out, his lifting regimen, his treatment, his routine.
The dude grinds.
It's second to none. And he was going to catch and he was going to play 162 this year, whether it was catching or DH, which is unheard of when you're a catcher. Usually you get some days off in there, but I mean, his mental game is insane, and he's so fun to watch, and he's even a better person and teammate too. So I'm just happy I'm on the same team as him, so I don't have to have a ball that comes 115 my way.
Okay, I'm gonna put you on the spot then. Who should win MVP?
Oof.
Obviously, Shohei is the odds favorite right now. I'm gonna leave my opinions aside here. I'm gonna leave the floor to you.
Well, what the thing is that Shohei, we haven't seen a player like that. Obviously, I wasn't alive for Babe Ruth, obviously, but they're saying, it's hard to see a guy who throws or pitches and hits the way he does. So when we played against him, he's incredible, and he's obviously one of the best in the league. I personally believe that Sal should get a little bit more MVP hub, though. I think that there's not a lot of – I know there's a lot of, hey, he's having a great season, historical season as a catcher. I don't know why he's not up there with, the MVP talk, because he is leading the league in RBIs. He's leading the league in home runs. And he's caught in DH in 100 – I mean, when the season's over, it's going to be 161 games. So
throwing runners out.
Yeah, exactly. And he's throwing runners out. He's probably going to win a Gold Glove, Silver Slugger. So he's pretty insane. But I mean, it is kind of hard to answer that, because Sal's my guy. So it's either him or Ohtani. That's what I think.
Fair enough. You mentioned Gold Glove. I think a Gold Glove is in the cards for you, my friend. You're first and now it's above average. I mean, we're talking American League shortstops here. We're not talking like just in the American League Central or just like you're that dude this season. And you mentioned before on this call that you just hit in the cage. You didn't even work in the field for a while there when you got sent down. So what's clicked with you, and why do you feel as though you should be the Gold Glove recipient this season?
Yeah, I defense is, the thing I put a lot of effort in. I put a lot of time in. I take a lot of pride in my defense. Ever since college, I went to obviously Creighton and under Ed Service. He's a defensive guru over there, and he taught me a ton about defense. Taught me about how footwork and arm strength, get everything going, momentum, going to first base, and I just take a lot of pride in it. There's nothing worse than letting your team down. There's nothing worse than letting a pitcher down. He's busting his butt on the mound. You want to make a play for him. And that's just what kind of my mentality going into it. And I've been striving so hard to get a Gold Glove. Obviously, I've only been 2 years, but being there, being close at second base last year, and then moving over to shortstop and doing it again this year, I think is one of the big reasons why. I mean, I'm a very humble guy. I don't want to obviously brag, but I mean, going from second to short and being a finalist at second, and then hopefully being a finalist at short, I think that kind of speaks for itself. And hopefully I get some votes. Hopefully I get the coaches to vote. But if it happens, it happens kind of thing.
Do you think starting from even high school up to the big leagues, do you think you're overlooked because of your size?
100%. I think so, because I've always had a chip on my shoulder. I've always had guys count me out. Freshman year of high school, I was borderline going to make the freshman A team because they didn't think I had the arm strength, or I was small. I didn't have the size. I didn't go to one college because they didn't think that I'm not going to name names, but they didn't think I was big enough or strong enough to compete at the college level. And that's just testament to Creighton, because they believed in me, and then it kind of just took off from there. But I've heard it in minor leagues. I've heard it in the big leagues of you don't hit for power. You don't hit for, you don't hit enough home runs. You don't hit enough, doubles and triples, but it's all just fuel to the fire.
I like talking about that because we had a conversation with Marcus Stroman before the season, and he's obviously known for his brand of being undersized and basically shoving it besides his size. And I love talking with guys like that because it really doesn't matter, especially in the sport of baseball. I mean, you got guys now. I mean, shoot, Dustin Pedroia is probably the best example of a guy that can still hit for power and be undersized. But for you, you're not really a power hitter, but you're hitting over 300. You're making good contact, and you've been one of the more valuable infielders in baseball in the American League this season. Why do you think that players of your stature, players of your type, still are valuable in today's age? Because we talk about guys like Nick Madrigal, super good contact guy, never strikes out, but he got traded over to Chicago for a guy like Craig Kimbrell. And so people are battling around like, if you don't hit for power, you're not as valuable in baseball today. What do you say to that?
I think that a lot of people don't think of us, the type of players that we are very exciting right now. I think what they want to see is the home runs, the strikeouts, the guys hitting the balls out of the ballpark. Where I think, if you ask me, because obviously me, Whit Merrifield, guys like that, let's get on base. Let's have Salvador Perez hit a home run. Let's put a ball in play and run a hard 90. Let's turn a single into a double. And that's my biggest thing, is that I'm going to play hard every single day. I'm going to play really good defense, and I'm going to get on base, because I think that's more exciting than, striking out. I think that's more exciting and I think that's more invaluable. And I hope that baseball kind of goes back to, putting the ball in play, and obviously you're going to leave the yard. Obviously you're going to get the strikeouts because guys are just that good. But, just getting on base, ever since I went to the 2-hole, that's my thought process. Just get on base for Sal, and let Sal drive me in. And it's been working. It's been working the second half.
Yeah, it's a pretty good strategy, I'd say. All right. Well, it was more nerve-wracking. Your first big league at bat, you're proposing to future wifey in Chicago. Am I correct?
Yeah, in Chicago. So it was in my home Home city. More nerve-wracking would be proposing, and I was nervous. I was
Dude, you can prepare for it all you want. You could say it in your head. You could picture it all night, but there's nothing that prepares you for it. I went through a similar experience 2 years ago now.
So I was all ready for it. Obviously, you know, my debut. Once you get that first pitch, once you get that first ground ball, it's just baseball. Then after that, but when I was going to propose, it was like 80 degrees out. I put a jacket on because I was like, I gotta hide this ring. I was wearing a little tighter jeans and can't put it in my back pocket. And she kept like asking me like, why are you wearing a jacket? Like it's hot. I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna be by the water. It's gonna be colder. And then our reservations weren't until 7:30, and it was like I had everyone coming to the hotel around like 7. I was like, hey, we should leave a little earlier to get like a drink. And she was just taking her sweet ass time. And I'm like,
naturally.
Exactly. So that just kind of, you know, fueled the more, you know, I was getting very nervous, and I was like, oh, hopefully she doesn't know. And it worked out. It definitely worked out.
Very cool. Okay. Tell me a little bit about Nikki's Number One's charity. You're building positivity for underprivileged youth through talking. Obviously, COVID has complicated things, but you're talking with different underprivileged youth through Zoom calls. You were before COVID, you're trying to get kids to the ballpark. So tell me a little bit about what you do in your community.
Yeah, so Nikki's Number Ones is basically me just acting as a role model to, you know, Kansas City youth. I work with Kansas City community partners, Operation Breakthrough, which is you know, the underprivileged inner city kids, and then I also work with the Kansas City YMCA Challenger program, which is helping the special needs and those kids as well, and then as well as the Children's Hospital. So kind of just giving them a role model to look up to, some positivity to shed light, make some kids smile, be there for them if they ever need anything. Due to COVID, we're stuck on only Zoom calls, which is very unfortunate. But my hopes is in 2022, I'll have, you know, the day at the K with me, show them the ballpark, show them what it's like, maybe hopefully show them the locker room, and then obviously bring them onto the field and kind of just, you know, shed some light in their life that they might not have, and kind of just be there for them and be that role model for them.
That's awesome, man. I love it. I love it. Okay, I can't let you go though before asking you for an update on this dog situation. You want dogs in the dugout. Do we have anything? Have you got in contact with Manfred at all? Are we getting any kind of progress on this dog in the dugout proposal that you have all of a sudden jump started?
Yeah, so one of my good friends is Ben Verlander. And I just he asked me, if you're a commissioner, what would you do? And that I just kind of threw that out there because I'm a big dog lover, and it took, you know, it caught fire, and I got media people interviewing our skipper about it too now and stuff like that.
He's on board.
He's on board, and he's on board. So that's a good hurdle to jump over. Now I dropped the ball because I had a meeting with Dayton Moore the other day, and I didn't ask him, and I should have.
That's on you.
He asked me, is there anything you need from us? And I think that's on me. I should have asked him. But sometimes when you're talking to the the GM or the now president, it gets a little nerve-wracking. So, but no,
it's good. He has that open communication, though. I mean, that the Royals had that reputation.
Yeah.
You know, like the Royals have such good reputation. That's why I really wanted to talk to you, is because Dayton Moore and that entire front office, like, they're known of just taking care of their players. They seem like they take care of you pretty well.
Yeah, they're the best, and it's a giant family over here, super loyal. They'll go above and beyond to, meet your needs and to go above and beyond just to make sure that you and your family are okay. So they've been unbelievable to me. But as far as the dog, I see a lot of, I see the Washington Capitals have a dog. I see other places have a dog, and I think it's a good idea. So if I ever see Manfred face to face, I'm gonna ask him about it.
I want video of that.
I will.
I want video of somebody asking Rob Manfred, "Can I please have a dog in my dugout?" And he'll probably say like, "No, we just need to like keep the shifts, or like we just need to." Yeah, he'll come up with something crazy. We all know. Okay, these are straight from Brooksy here. Rapid fire questions, quick answers, quick questions. Who's the one pitcher you just absolutely hate facing?
Now, Craig Kimbrell.
Really?
Just the one time. I had like a check swing hit over third baseman's head, but that was pretty nuts.
Oh, he's in the book then.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
Most underrated player on the Royals right now,
Underrated player on the Royals.
other than yourself.
I would have to say Michael Taylor.
Okay. Just got that extension too. So
Just got that extension, but there's a lot of things that kind of go. I know a lot of people, they're box score watchers. I think a lot of people are when it comes to obviously social media and all that stuff. But when you see him take the field and you see him cover Kauffman Stadium, it is something incredible to watch. And so I would say either him or Andrew Benintendi.
name one teammate. You don't have kids quite yet, right?
No kids.
If you do have kids in the future, name one teammate you would not want babysitting your kids.
I would not want babysitting my kids. I'm gonna go with Witt.
Ooh. I'm telling him he said that. I'm putting this out on public.
Nothing against him, but he always gives me shit. So I just don't want him to give my kids shit.
Fair enough. Best piece of advice somebody has given you.
Have fun. Keep having fun. I think a lot of people take it for granted that it's we play a game for a living. So when you look at it like it's a job, I think that's when you kind of get caught up in it. If you try to have fun and look at it as a game, I think you're gonna have the most success and get the most out of it.
Last one: Chicago deep dish pizza or Kansas City barbecue?
Deep dish pizza.
Oh man, fans are gonna hate you. You're gonna get booed in your next at bat.
Not that I don't like Kansas City barbecue, but I mean I gotta stay to my roots.
This is hard hitting journalism right here. I hope you know this.
I know this is tough.
Nicky, best of luck the rest of the way, man. I am keeping my fingers crossed for you. And if you don't win the Gold Glove, it's probably a snub. Get this man the Gold Glove. Rob Manfred, he's going to come to you about talking to you about a dog, but don't forget to give him that Gold Glove along the way. Nicky Lopez, thanks so much for joining the Wake and Rake podcast, man. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Look forward to talking to you again soon.
Brooksy, tell me, weekend's over. It's Sunday night. Playoffs start. Who's in the American League? Who's stealing those wild card spots?
This is so tough for me. New York, just because they win 2 games, they pretty much have it locked up. If they win 1, they probably have it locked up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Seattle. I'm gonna
like
go
that.
against. I'm gonna go with my gut here. I'm gonna go Seattle. They are playing like a playoff team. Boston is not. Seattle. I'm thinking. It's so hard to go with them because you just look at their lineup and you're like, meh.
Their numbers are not impressive.
Rotation. No, they have one guy that stands out, and it's Mitch Haniger, 250, 38, 95.
He's leading the American League in American League outfielders and home runs. I think he's like second in RBIs, third in RBIs.
I mean, JP Crawford's having a good year, 273. Not a whole lot of power, but some.
Stud in the field.
Stud. Gold Glover. Sorry, Nicky.
Wait, Gold Glover last year.
He was a Gold Glover
Nicky and
last year.
JP will definitely be competing this year.
Ty France hit almost 300 with 18. They're just scrappy, dude. That's the best way to put it. They're scrappy. I just feel like right now they're better than Boston.
Okay.
Boston's I just feel like a bad vibe around them right now. Like you can't lose to Baltimore like that. And it wasn't even like they lost on like a walk-off. Like they were getting beat.
Yeah.
Like bad team. So,
I hope you're right. I personally have seen the Boston Red Sox and the Yankees, and I would be an idiot and I would be lying if I told you Red Sox, Yankees in a 1-game playoff wouldn't be entertaining. But I'm a sucker for anything new. I'm a millennial. I'm a sucker for the grass is greener on the other side. I'm always looking for something new, the new players, new stars. So give me Seattle in the playoffs.
It's like the superstars versus like the up and coming guys that no one really knows about. It's like,
it's like March Madness tournament. Everybody finds that like
right. Gonzaga's playing like Butler,
Northwest Tech University of Polytechnic School of Trade. You know what I mean? And we all get behind. Like that's the Seattle Mariners this year.
Loyola
of Seattle Northwest Tech.
Now they just need a nun.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Hey, special thanks to Nicky Lopez for joining us. Let's go Mariners, baby. Take it home for us.
I mean, come on, Sox. Let's go. Like, pick it the fuck up. Let's go.
Adios, party people.
Under those lights, it's my city, childhood, my life, me house.